Within 1 week's time, we are going back to United States again for a different fiasco. Last week we spoke about a blunder Citibank committed, and now we are talking about another fiasco which is into again a financial domain. Though Citibank was into a banking domain, but banking and financials work very closely, so we can call it a financial domain for both. But while the Citibank fiasco was mainly driven around its own mistake, this issue is much wider, and it has wider implication for the new financial order, which is driven by, let's say, the stock markets around the world. And stock markets are at the heart of the economy everywhere now. So if anything happens in the stock market which has much wider implications, maybe you, me, and everybody can, has an impact and can suffer because of this. So let us begin this story. And this story begins really with a company called Gamestop, who sells offline gaming devices. And you all know what offline means. These days, offline stores are really performing poor, and the business is moving online. And we have seen, because of that, many businesses are suffering huge losses. So GameStop is not any exception. However, the stock was performing so badly. There is a user called Keith Gill, and this user had really read everything about the company in the books, and he argued that the company has been really undervalued and should come up or recover very fast. Therefore, everybody should invest further. He himself was an investor with 50,000 shares with him. Now, he also did some more study, and he found that whenever there is a new launch around, maybe planned around, the stock really recovers and performs well. And there were two major launches were planned soon. That was about Microsoft and Sony PlayStation. These launches would have definitely helped the company. So he argued that the company will recover with the help of these things. And also the company's cash, company has lot of cash. They can really transition from being just an offline store to online segment also, online presence also. Therefore, he was quite invested in the company, not just by money. He was there with the time. He had the YouTube channel, and also he was there present on the Wall Street Bets, another platform, another community on the Reddit. So there are 3-4 players in this whole story. This Keith Gill, the Reddit community called Wall Street Bets, and then the Robinhood application, which was at the center stage of facilitating these all transactions, and the hedge funds. Okay, maybe some more. So what was happening, one fine day some of the users discovered that the GameStop prices, out of 100%, 80% was on short selling spree, and these were done by the hedge funds. So hedge funds really ganged up together to push the prices of GameStop down. They were all expecting that the prices will come down, and somebody discovered that. He decided to publicize this information in the community, and the retail investors really flocked in, which we call the content went viral in social media terminology. So the content really went viral. Every retail investor in the company stocks really looked upon that as something which harms their own interest. Therefore, they started buying that. Everybody started buying that. So how this short selling happens? Short selling in short means you sell a stock first without buying it at the higher price, expecting the prices to go down, and then buy it. So if you look at it, you bought here and you have already sold it here, so the price gap between buying and selling is your typical profit. The difference here in GameStop case was the hedge funds were selling the stock at the high level and they were not willing to exit or cover their positions while the stock was coming down regularly. And this was discovered by the retail investors. Now they started pushing the prices up. Okay, when the prices went up, these hedge funds guys started covering their losses, putting this whole thing even further very sharply. Joined by some long-term investors, big guys of Wall Street, like BlackRock or maybe some other investment firms there, they also joined this party. So the stock prices went from 18 to $4.50 within just 2 or 3 weeks time. This was a huge 2500% gain in 2 to 3 weeks. Have you heard of that kind of movement in any stock anywhere, right? So this caused a huge loss to the hedge funds because a lot of these hedge funds thought maybe this is just a random tick upside tick, they should not cover. They really went bust. At the end of the day, by the time they really covered their losses, they were in huge debt. They were about to go bankrupt. They needed outside help to really save themselves. So this is whole story. I will not go into what is hedge funds, what is short selling in this video at least. I know short selling is an exciting concept. Many people don't understand this. Probably I may talk about this because I figured out a very easy way to explain this. So watch out for that video. Hopefully that will help you the concept around short selling. So coming back to GameStop, this whole stock price movement took place. Now the question is there somebody behind this whole move? Can we really call this a scam? So I ask you this puzzle, and this is really a puzzle for everybody, including the market watchdogs, including the government bodies who are going to investigate this further. In fact, Keith Gill has already testified in front of the cabinet. I don't know what they call it, but he was there to give his whole view around this whole topic. So the concept here is, or the problem here is for the wider world stock market, because the wider world stock market or the stock market around the world might not be as strictly as regulated as in the US. Can this really cause a huge damage to others in the stock market? For example, let's say some smaller country, if something like that happens, the economy will be in the ruins. And or this is very common trend, TV channels, social media handles, or the newspapers, WhatsApp groups, Facebook groups, they all come up with these findings, recommendations of these stocks. So how would you really blame Keith Gill for recommending this? Would you really blame Keith Gill, or that means you block all the social media activities around this, or you block the exposure of these hedge funds who are trying to push these stock prices down to such limits or some limit? We will have to see that how this story begins. In this part, we talked about how this stock climbed from 18 to 450, but something happened at 450 and the stock prices came crashing to $45 or 40, right? Before it is trading around 268 to 669 now. So there is a whole story around this again. We might come up with a part 2 very soon along with the short selling video. So till that time, stay safe, stay connected, and as I said, please do write me what do you think of these the story. Can somebody be held responsible, or this is a business as usual, or we should ignore and move it? Probably an outlier event where we don't need to really focus too much on this. So I look forward to your comments, and take care now. Thank you.